Well, you don't listen, so you don't have to worry about it.
I was busy. You know what? This chair
busy.
makes me feel like I got to stick up my ass. Something's broken.
You know what? This is exactly what I said. Did I not say this last week?
What, doesn't complain?
Yep. I said the minute he comes in, he's going to bitch about something because every time he takes some time off, he goes out and sees the world. He comes in, he's got all these improvements he wants to make. Oh, this chair's stickier. Let me tell you about this. Or we need to change this. I need to paint this wall. Or I got all these ideas. And then, we're in here working our asses off trying to make a good show. And then you come in here and you're all like, oh, well, I'm in St. Louis and WashU and they're changing the world. Let me tell you. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Dean Martin used to do that for his show. He used just to walk in. He didn't go to rehearsals, didn't practice the lines.
Yeah, he runs the whole show, yeah.
He just walked in.
You're not Dean Martin, brother.
You ain't Dean
Settle
Martin.
down, all right?
You ain't Dino.
Jeez, there's a lot of hate. I'm going to go back to
First thing he said, good to be back.
Yeah.
Missed you. Had a great weekend. This chair
I texted
sucks.
with you the whole
This chair sucks. I know, really. Uncompassionate, yes.
Jews.
Good to have you back. Jews, wow, we're going there. Golly, I'm not going to go there.
Do that, then I'm going to complain a little bit more.
We had a wild time when you were gone.
I should go away more often.
We had the Christian Deaf Foundation on. We had Ambucks on Friday talking about trikes for kids. Went to a Barons game on Friday.
You went to a Barons game.
I did.
How was it?
You know what? It was good. Jonathan Nelson, the GM there, set me up with some tickets. I had two, a black guy, a black girl, a white guy, and a white girl sitting together behind me. They were college kids.
Okay.
And they talked loud for 2.5 hours. Yeah. They didn't cuss a whole lot.
But just
I'm there with my son and my daughter, who's 9, and her friend, and they were having a good time. They were oblivious to what was going on. Right. And these kids were just talking about the stupidest stuff.
Right.
That I was kind of like, and so we were playing Watch Bosh last night.
Right.
It was crazy. And he's like, I know. And I was like, and he's crying. And I was like, well, why don't you eat a yogurt or something like that? And the black guy starts laughing. The black girl was like, totally, she was like, what? And I mean, this went on for 2.5 hours. They never shut up. And
well, it's because they're out and they're enjoying each other's company.
It was annoying.
Yeah.
It was, and of course, Santa was like, what's the big deal? And I was like,
yeah.
Dude, and then we had the fireworks, and they were talking during the fireworks show, and I'm like, can you guys just shut up for a minute? They're not watching the game. And I was like, and that's fine, but I mean, they were just a little too loud, and they were right behind me. And I was like, I want social distancing back. I'm bringing COVID back. I'm going to get COVID just to start this crap all over again. I'm like, it was great when you were 6 rows behind me. Anyway, it was good. Talked to Eddie Munster this weekend.
I heard that.
He was good. And
are the other cast members dead?
I have no idea.
Okay, I was just curious.
He's doing good, and I got a divorce. Anyway, what else going on with you?
Wait, you or he did?
Oh,
who got the divorce this weekend?
I did. So very uneventful.
Wow. Well, I haven't. Mine's
very
uneventful.
Very uneventful.
Mine was very uneventful.
It was good.
No, you listen. So I was at my kid's graduation.
Yeah.
Lots going on there. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the commencement speaker. And I'm a Lakers fan. So my daughter goes downstairs to the hotel to meet my brother. And I'm sorry, her brother, my son. And she texts. She's like, he's in the lobby.
Yeah.
We didn't even think he was going to be there. We thought he just dialed it in remotely. So I'm like, running, get in the elevator, running down, because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Get about halfway down the floor. She's like, he's gone. And that was it. And then he never came back because he came in the day before to tape the commencement on stage and then left.
Oh, okay. That day. So he wasn't there for the actual.
It was all taped. And you know what? It was really sad because people who don't know him, like these kids, a lot of them don't know. They're like, God, that wasn't that great. He didn't do such a great job. He's 73.
Yeah.
So he's older. He's historically he's shy. I mean, he's not. And so he was kind of making jokes, and they were falling just short, but it was all taped.
Yeah.
And the funniest part that everybody laughed, which was really sad, is they went to give him his honorary degree. Again, this is all videotaped. Well, the chancellor's probably about 5'8".
Yeah.
He bends his head over, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
He squats down, not even close. He has to get down on his knees so they could do it.
That was
How
great.
tall is Kareem?
7'2", a good 7'2".
That was funny.
But he did look. That
was the best part.
He looked old.
Yeah, well, he's old.
I know, but he looked old. Everything else was fine. Everything else was great.
And people that are tall, big people,
they look older.
Well, no, they're like big dogs. They don't do that. Hey, what's up? It's my son coming in for part of the show. What's going on, dude? We're live on the radio, live on the TV. How are you? You good? Okay, I'll come up and see you in a few minutes, right? Okay. You love working at home, man. It's great. Kids come down, say good morning.
You know what? I gotta tell you, my kids used to. Did your kids do this? They come downstairs and they're like halfway awake,
yeah.
And then they do this. Both my kids would talk gibberish. They come down and okay, go back to bed. Okay, go back to bed. All
and
right,
then we had this guy named Phil Mickelson who got after it at the PGA tournament yesterday.
Did he win?
He did.
Yes,
he did. He won by 2 strokes.
Kiawah Island is nice.
Yeah, for the entire golf tournament, I thought it was Hawaii. I just thought
no, I've been
South Carolina. It's beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it's really nice.
You know, and they were
windy.
saying he was looking good too. Like he was looking like he looked like he had been training.
Yeah, you know,
no?
he kind of pissed me off a little bit at the end. I love Phil Mickelson. I kept thinking, what is Tiger Woods thinking right now? Because he had the car crash, he can't play golf, and then here's this guy, and he's not his nemesis. We wanted Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods to get pissed off at each other. That we had that Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson thing with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning thing, and they're trying to create something. They're just it's just not Phil. And so I just kept thinking to myself, what is Tiger Woods thinking right now to see a guy 50 years old, first time in 456 majors, in the history of majors, that a 50-year-old's won the major. And I'm thinking to myself, and again, Tiger Woods is safe as far as in how many majors he's got. He's now got 6. And, of course, Tiger tweeted him and said, way to go, Phil, and
no.
kind of thing.
He's hating life.
But I know that
I guarantee you he's hating life.
Yeah, he's sitting there going,
he's got his leg. I mean, God knows where he is in his rehab.
And will he ever play golf again?
That's right. Yeah.
And there's Phil at the age of 50, almost 51 years of age. And so I tweeted something out. The one thing that I think I love about golf is that any normal Joe can go out. If you play golf regularly, maybe once every couple months, you can go out and par a hole. And that's what the pros do. And so it makes you feel like, hey, I can compete.
That's right.
I know I can't shoot a 72, but at least for a hole or two, I can feel like I'm one of the guys.
Absolutely.
You can't do that in Major League Baseball. You can't give me a football on the 30-yard line and tell me to run it 60 yards. I can't do it.
You can shoot some baskets.
Maybe like in chess or maybe bowling. Can't do it in tennis. I can't compete. But maybe for just that one hole for 15 or 20 minutes, I can actually feel like, hey, listen, that's what keeps bringing you back. And of course, people are like, well, I could have a 50-yard field goal. I'm like, whatever, dude. I don't want to hear your crap.
But the best thing I like about golf, it's the opposite of that. And I'm not a big golf fan, but I love when they bogey. Yeah. When they hit it into the water.
Oh, a 10, man. When someone gets a 10,
it makes you. It doesn't have to be horrible either, but it makes you feel like, look, it's not only can I do as good as them, but they do as bad as me. Yeah. It's almost like in basketball where they shoot an air ball.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God.
We love that.
God, he shot an air ball. He's 6'8".
Or someone gets the yips. I love that.
Yes.
I mean, I hate it for the guy, but I'm like, just goes to show we're all human.
Absolutely.
But also, if we went out there and played Phil one-on-one, he could take a 7-iron and beat us by 10 strokes.
Yeah, but we don't think that way.
Yeah, but we're talking over a round of golf.
One round.
Yeah, I'm just talking about on my best day I could break a 90, and I've seen Phil shoot an 85. And I'm thinking, I know I can't compete with him regularly, but at least on that day, at that moment, I may make a better shot than he does. And you can't do that in any other sport, really.
Do you like his thumbs up?
I did. I mean, that's the part I didn't like. I'm sitting there waiting.
Thumbs up.
He gets the major.
Right.
The place he's a rock star. There were people grabbing at his shirt and stuff, and he's like that was something that has never happened before. It was weird. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He gets up there, and I'm waiting for him to let go. He never let go. No, but that Phil's let go before. And I'm like, this is probably one of the biggest majors he's ever won.
Overwhelming. I think I'm telling you, when something's huge, you either see people let go, or they clam up. I mean, I heard
he's won 5 majors though, Josh. He's been there before.
But this one he's not when you're 50. And I loved the honesty of his last of the speech. At the end of the speech, he's like, because he was waffling. He's like, what this tells me, he's like, this could be my last tournament. This could be my last thing. He's like, or
well, we know it's not now.
But he's like, or I could do it again.
Yeah.
And what he said was, this just goes to show you that even with a little extra work, and what he didn't say, in this sport, you can keep going. Yeah. You can just keep going.
No, he was slow and steady. I mean, he tried to give it away at the end, but Koepka just couldn't capitalize on stuff. But I just love to see a 50-year-old get after it like that, because I'm 50 and I was like, that's pretty cool. And
well, there's no other sport. We don't have another sport. Do we have any other sport? No, everything else is 40s.
And I think golf is one of those things where you can hit 20 bad shots, but if you hit one good shot, it brings you back to the course.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? It's
absolutely.
that one shot that gives you hope.
Yep, there is. You're right. One shot.
I mean, it doesn't work with basketball. You can miss 10 baskets, but make one, but you're like, I still suck.
No,
you know?
see, that's where I was going to go with basketball.
Yeah, some guy said I could shoot a 3-pointer. I'm like, okay, I'm not talking about one shot. I'm just talking about, like, you could play a little bit of golf. Like, if a hole usually takes 10 or 15 minutes. You could actually play competitively.
Do you enjoy golf?
Yeah, when I get out and do it, I don't have a chance to do it very often. I'd love to get out and play once a week.
Do you know, I get bored after 10 holes.
Yeah, I'm about 13 or 14 holes.
10 holes, like if there was a 10-hole course, I'd be great.
Well, you need to go to the club at Lakeview.
Well, yeah, I love the 3-par courses. I do. I feel I like the pace, right? And you get in, not so much get in and get out, but I just, after a while, I just keep going. You keep going. Plus, I suck, so that makes it even worse. Right. Yeah.
I just thought it was great, though. Congratulations to Phil Mickelson for winning his 6th major, and again, he may not win another one, but I was thinking, what is Tiger Woods thinking?
Tigers, mid-40s, low 40s,
yeah, 46, 47, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, think Tiger Woods is sitting there.
He's probably not that old.
Tiger Woods, I mean, he's done.
Phil can play on the senior tour.
Well, he said he doesn't need the exemption. He doesn't need an exemption.
You can imagine him at the Regents Charity Classic.
We could go either one. Can you play them both?
Yeah, you can play both.
Can you flip-flop?
Oh. Sure.
Tiger's 45.
45. Yeah, he doesn't need to.
Tiger. I think this is the end of Tiger, not just golf.
Yeah.
I think this is enough he needs to go away and get his head really together. This is I
don't know if his body will allow him to play again, but I would think if there's one guy out there that could bring it back. I mean, we never thought he'd never win another major, and then he wins a Masters a couple years ago. You're thinking to yourself, but if there's one guy who's out there right now going,
he's
I'm coming
messed
back.
up, though.
He is messed up.
No, he's messed up just psychologically as well.
And there was word out for a long period of time that Phil and his wife were swingers.
Really?
For years. And everybody on the tour knew it, but no one knew it. And the first person he thanked was, of course, his wife. He's like, I wouldn't be here without my wife, which I love.
What was he going to say? No, even if they're swingers.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was ever true, but that was like, shh. But I'm like, okay. Because he's always been very good with his public display of affection with his lovely bride.
He's at the financial.
She wasn't there, by the way.
He had that big financial trading thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, everybody has got their stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their stuff. And you know, people say don't judge. I don't really care if you judge or not. To me, that doesn't matter. Judge. Yeah. Judge because it's fine. It's just that when you go judge, know that you're judging and you got your own stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part we get back and forth, and particularly with celebrities, we love to do it. Look at them, because they can't turn around and knock on the door and say to you,
exactly,
look at your crap. I know about what you did with your wife.
I heard an interesting concept. I never heard it put this way, but a clinical psychologist that I listened to said that being prejudiced, is a natural biological human trait.
Yes,
to keep us safe.
Absolutely.
So it's not something that we can control.
No.
I mean, to a point. I mean, obviously, once you get to know a person, obviously that goes away.
Totally.
But that is a natural thing.
It's the whole idea of implicit bias is exactly that, because it's we have so much evolutionary things that are designed to keep us safe that are no longer necessary, but we still have them. Yeah. Right? It's everything from the whole idea of rubbernecking at an accident, right? To prejudice. I mean, prejudice. I gotta be careful of saying this though.
Well, it's just amazing to me how we have taken certain phrases and concepts and made them automatically negative, and it's just prejudice is not always negative. Always. Just like this new thing with culture appropriation.
Yeah.
Like that's not necessarily a negative thing. It's all culture appropriation is just borrowing from another culture. But that's not a negative concept.
Right. So to prejudge is an action. Prejudge is an action, but it's not a negative. It doesn't have,
It's internal. It's when it becomes external. When it becomes
it's not negative. It's just a thing, but more times than not, it gets us into trouble. Like when I first met him, I had already prejudged. I was prejudiced against him. I mean, he
He hated me.
Well, no, I didn't hate you, but I thought, listen, I'd listened to you on air.
Mm-hmm.
I had my vision of what you would be like. I had my thoughts about just given your history, given your public history, what you would be like.
Yep.
And I actually thought coming in, the first time you interviewed me, well, actually, you came through it. It confirmed my prejudice, but it did. You came in, and I thought, okay, this guy's going to be like a loose cannon.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I thought. This guy's going to be a loose cannon. He's going to be everywhere, and I better be ready, not so much to take pot shots, but just like you never know where he's going to go.
Yeah.
And I remember.
Perfect.
What?
Perfect.
Well, yeah, I remember it was almost worse because you were very nice.
Yeah.
You were very kind.
I was playing you up.
Exactly. I got real relaxed, and then your first question: what does it take to be a real man? I was on a sports show. What does it take to be? What does it mean to be a real man?
Yeah.
But I totally prejudged you.
Well, the thing is I don't like in studio guests.
Why?
I just because there's this uncomfortable thing that they're in your house, and sometimes they don't know when to leave. And then you go in between breaks, and you have that David Letterman, Johnny Carson moment where you're in between breaks, and you don't know if you should ask them questions or can I get you anything. And so I always leave to go to the bathroom, and I come back.
You left?
Yeah, and then and then
is that why you all left?
The thing is,
Oh, shit.
yeah, we all left the studio.
I know they left me sitting in there. One at a time. They all went to go pee.
Yeah, we didn't have to pee. We just stood outside and
Talked about
ate a
me.
biscuit or something and talked about you. Is what we did. It's just weird. Some people love having in studio guests. But it's just it's kind of an uncomfortable thing, is what it is. But it's okay.
Okay.
But you did good.
I did.
Yeah.
You know, I learned. Can I tell you a mask thing I learned on the airplane?
No, I don't want to hear it.
No, it's not a bad thing.
No, I don't want to talk about masks
No,
today.
it's just
I don't want to talk about
okay,
masks today. I'm not talking. We're done with masks.
I wore it on my head
Okay, good for you.
while I was eating.
I know I saw a picture of a guy who fell asleep in the sun with his mask on, and now it's gone viral, and 8 million people think it's hilarious. I'm like,
Wait, what happened?
some guy fell asleep with a mask on
Oh,
his
and he's
face.
got his like sunburn.
Yes, he got sunburn. It's like, that's funny. It's hilarious. Very entertaining.
Okay.
By the way, did you see what happened in North Korea this weekend? I wanted to bring this up because I thought it was hilarious. Kim Jong-un just came out with a ban of things that you can and cannot do in North Korea, including K-pop bands. K-pop bands are bands that come out of South Korea. You're not allowed to listen to K-pop bands in North Korea. South Korea, obviously, much more liberal than North Korea. So he came out with a list of things in order to keep things non-socialist and keep things non-Western culturalist, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
He does not want his world going to hell in a handbag. He's like, I'm going to control this right now. Here's the deal.
But he loves all those things.
No nose rings. Yeah, I mean, Dennis Rodman comes
Well, that's
over.
what I was
But I mean, Dennis Rodman don't live there.
Okay. No
No
nose,
nose
rings.
rings.
I don't like.
No skinny jeans. No skinny pants. You can be put in prison if you wear skinny pants.
Right now.
No, I know. Those are really. Oh, jeez.
And no mullets.
That's strange.
There are now 15 different pictures. You know those ones where where you used to go, the old barbershops, and they'd have the pictures of the hair. Leave me that one. That's what they got now. There's 15 different hairstyles you can have, and if you don't have one of those hairstyles, you can be arrested. They're going door to door, knocking on doors. No tats.
Okay. I get the piercings and the tats. That's weird. See, there's some.
I've met a lot of different types of people in the world. I've never met anyone from North Korea.
He's trying to control. He does not want the younger generation
to have
crazy.
Mullets.
Well, he doesn't want them being who they want to be. And he's like, that's the way it is. And you know what it sounds like? Sounds like a dad.
Yeah, but he's
sounds like a dad.
Yeah, but he's kind of a freak. It doesn't make sense.
He can do whatever he wants.
Well, you know what it is? It's do what I say, not as I do.
Well, sure. He's having a good time, but I mean, and he seems like he's kind of fun outside of killing people. There's a difference between leaving a country and fleeing a country.
So if you have a mullet, you just lop it off. You're okay.
Yeah.
First of all, how many North Koreans have a mullet? Who has a mullet?
They're trying to.
The Korean mullet is a very big thing.
Oh,
yes.
is it?
Oh, yeah.
Is it a mullet like they have here?
They wear it better.
Okay.
Something about their hair and the shape of their head
It works.
wears better on
the shape of their head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking. When the hair's we're
it frames their face
better.
Yeah, the Korean mullet is a thing.
I didn't know that.
There's a comedian I listened to, Bobby Lee. He was on Mad TV back in the 90s. Remember that show? He's got a killer mullet right now. He's Korean.
Okay. North Korean or South Korean?
South Korean.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of because part of me is kind of like that sounds like dad.
Yeah.
You're not wearing goofy hair.
Well, he gets older.
You can't put any dye in your hair. No dye in the hair.
You know what it is too.
You can't put any dye in the hair. And I'm thinking to myself, he's just being a dad.
Well, either that or he's jealous. No skinny jeans. He's
can,
fat.
Well, if he could do it if he wants. I'm all about.
You know what? No tattoos.
I'm all about
because he probably wants a tattoo.
Well, he'd get a tattoo. He's probably got a tattoo.
Oh yeah, I guess.
You just don't see it.
Yeah. What do they go?
But I'm kind of like we do it in our families, right? We tell them what the deal is. You ain't going outside looking like that. You're not doing that. He's just being a dad. They're going to thank him for that.
You think Joe Biden's going to do that?
No.
You think Joe Biden's got a tattoo?
Probably does.
On the lower back.
Was he in the service?
No, Jill, not Joe.
Jill? No. I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know. I talked about Jill on the show when you were gone. When she dropped the MF word, I was like,
what happened?
I sent you the story, and you're like, why do you always talk about the good stuff while I'm gone?
I didn't look at it.
Yeah, she called out Kamala. She called her an effer. Like at that debate they had a couple of years ago. When Kamala talked
her husband a racist. So
yeah, she called Joe a racist, and she's like, you. And she went off
during the debate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was just
there was a phone call about a week after, and she called her out, and she was asked about it.
But they're friends now.
Yeah. She's like, things change, I mean, I had to protect my husband.
I bet Joe does. He was in the military. I bet Joe's got
if he's in the military, he does.
Got a tattoo.
Yeah. Speaking of the way we look and the way we dress, too, Demi Lovato is.
You're done with her.
I'm so over her. I try. I mean, listen.
Bless her heart.
You know me. I'm an open kind of guy, right?
You are.
I try to understand. I mean, I listened to these four knuckleheads from UAB behind me at the ball game the other night, and I'm going, okay, they're just having a good time as long as they're not cussing and over imbibing or whatever around my kids. I'm totally cool with it. And even then, I was kind of like, whatever. And there was a guy down the aisle that was having an argument with his wife and another guy.
Oh, see, that's
and that almost came to fisticuffs. Well, everyone's getting out, and everyone there's this.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk? Listen.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like people haven't gone out in like their entire life, and all of a sudden they're getting out. And so everyone's just hammering back beers and having a good time, and I'm like, can't we just all just chill out? That was one of two. And listen, I love Barons games, and they're very family friendly, so I'm not. There was another guy screaming at a guy above him because someone had dropped a peanut on his head. And I'm like, dude, we're at a ball game. Can we chill out a little bit? Watch the game.
So this is what's happening. So when I was
it's like we have to go through all this.
It's re-entry stuff, we
forgot to know how to go out.
No, but
and be nice to
we
people.
have, and it's both sides of it. You did the negative part, but there's the positive part too. So there's people sort of over friendly, right? Everybody's over engaged right now because they're out. Oh, it's so great to see you. There's like overly animated, and then people get exhausted. This is why I notice things. Yeah. So I was watching as I was engaging in these celebrations, and myself included. I was like, I was too much. Everybody was too much, and then you could see everybody hits a wall. People were like, hugging, and it's great, and it's wonderful, and then people are like, oh, but it also leads to conflict because when's the last time you had a peanut hit your head? When's the last time in public? Right. I'm telling you.
I'm at a ball game. I'm with 6,000 people. Things going to happen.
Yeah, but but they haven't been. But people haven't been.
Well, people need to act. People stop. It's only been a year. Well, it's only been a year since you've been out doing anything, and don't act like it's the first time you've gone out like in 20 years. I mean, I get it if you haven't dated someone for 15 years. That's one thing.
That is a long time. We shifted, except for some people.
It was like everyone was on everyone's nerves.
Well, because
it was like, and
Doctor,
maybe
are you saying that they're blowing their load too early?
Maybe we got too. Maybe it was because we had the social distancing, and we all, particularly introverts, we were like, okay, this is cool, this is nice, and now we're all back together again because the seats seemed a little closer, and I was nudging the guy behind me. I stepped on a ketchup packet, and the guy in front of me was like, "Hey, dude," and I was like, "It didn't go anywhere. It's cool."
It is. We are out of social sync. We are out of social sync, and
I understand it.
And we're getting ourselves back. That's what I'm saying. There's over jubilation. So everybody's hugging. But then there's also all the stuff that didn't happen before, which is like, no one's ever touching your, for a year, no one touching your leg. No one's stepping on the ketchup. No one's cutting in front of you in line. I was at the Southwest checkout or check your bags, and it was just complete. Have you ever had this? The conveyor belt broke. You talk about throwing an airline off, and they're just throwing all the bags over in a pile. Yeah. I know here, and you know how I get in airports, just gentlemen. They're throwing all the bags in a pile, and I see one lady talking to one guy. Okay, those 6 bags go on this flight, and I'm already my bags aren't even checked. And I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna lose. But everybody was more on edge than normal airport on edge.
Yeah.
People didn't want to stand in line. It was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
I don't know. I just.
You just were here. You didn't know. I mean, like, you're standing here.
No, I just was happy to get out. I mean, just stay to yourself and enjoy your time is what you got to do. But things were a little chippy. And then this Demi Lovato thing. I'm like, listen, I mean, she's been all over the place, and I kudos to her for cleaning up her life and going through everything she's gone through, and that's fine, and it's all good. So this weekend, evidently someone told her she looked really nice because she had been kind of chunky. She had lost a lot of weight.
You can't say that.
Chunky.
And she said, I would really appreciate it. First of all, she talked about the yogurt place that she went into a couple months ago, and she was slammed. She's like, I wasn't trying to slam them. I just didn't really feel like we need to have all the non-dairy, Splenda-filled stuff on one side the first thing because it makes people feel fat. I'm like, dude, you got issues.
Well,
so evidently someone said,
she does.
well, you know what? That's not my problem. I can be compassionate towards your issues, but stop telling me how to feel, okay? Because she's telling us how to feel. She basically said it's not proper or a compliment to tell someone they look good because you don't know what their weight issues have been.
Look at her lost weight. I just want to make sure that you look good or that you look like you've lost weight.
Either one.
Well, no. She didn't say you can't tell people you look good.
Because you've lost weight.
Okay, because you lost weight.
Oh, you look fantastic. You look like you've lost a few pounds.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Not
according to Demi Lovato. Because
anyway.
you don't know their eating disorder history.
Well, or like they have cancer. Like I don't do, I'm
when you look good, you look good.
No, but I will say, well, actually, you got to be careful if they have sick. But you look great.
99 out of 100 times, it's because someone lost a few pounds, and they appreciate it. Thank you. I love when someone says, you look really nice. You look like you lost a few pounds.
There's scientific evidence that the human eye is more aesthetically pleasing to something that's not as large or not as chunky. Like skinny people are more aesthetically pleasing than
unless they have an eating disorder and they look
but here's
skeleton
the thing, this culture that this small, loud, they're very loud. They're small, I think, but very loud.
Small
cancel culture, right?
Yeah.
They want us to be robots. They don't want us to make mistakes. They don't want us to they just want us to be robots. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be human anymore. You can't make mistakes.
Yeah, you can.
Well, not in their eyes.
Just don't tell anybody that you look like you've lost a few pounds.
Yeah, I mean, just don't say anything.
No, come on.
Or just try to be nice.
I mean, it's getting to the point where you can't actually say if you're. I'm an intention guy.
You're what?
I'm an intention guy. If my intentions are good towards you, then it's like calling someone honey or sweet pea. My intentions are good, so
you're.
And if you don't like it, that's fine. But what she's saying, and of course now she's non-binary, pansexual. She's all these different things. I don't know what she is.
Stop. That's not.
No. I mean, she's been out almost every single day with some new thing that we're supposed to be taking on, and that's supposed to be the world according to Demi. And I'm like,
no, but there's a difference. There's a difference. There's a shift. When she was. Went from bisexual to pansexual. That's her sexual identity. Yeah. Then she went non-binary. That's her gender identity. Okay. That's fine. I mean, that's you saying you. Yeah. That's different than saying you shouldn't tell people that they look good because they lost weight. Like to me,
she needs to do a podcast and just like let the Demi Lovato fans listen to what she's got to say because I'm tired of seeing it all over the place.
Listen. This is you've talked about this. This is. On the one hand, you could say she's spiraling. She's got problems. She's got confusion. And
she seems like she thinks she's better than everyone else. And that's the problem I have. No, she's telling everyone how she feels like we should be doing things in the world. We shouldn't put all the non-dairy stuff up front because that makes people feel fat. And you shouldn't tell people that they look like they lost a few pounds because you don't know their eating disorder. And you shouldn't make fun of people because they're going to be pansexual or non-binary. I'm like, dude, you know what? She is a very, 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 very small part of what this world's all about. Maybe she needs to be more accepting of how the rest of us feel, because she's talking to maybe 500 people around the world about what she has and what she's going through. And if she wants to do that, that's fine. But I'm tired of it.
But you need to think about it as a psychologist. Think about it as a
I'm
psychologist.
not a psychologist.
I'm going to tell it to you as a psychologist. I agree with you, but that kind of talk, you see people as they're going through either life change or confusion or coming out of addiction, that kind of trying to figure out who you are, what is right in the world, that kind of discussion happens all the time in therapy. The difference is, if you're Demi Lovato, you're saying it and lots of people are listening to you. If I stood up there and
that's
said,
the problem. A lot of people are listening to her.
That's exactly.
But the norm, most people that lose weight are trying to lose weight to look better and be more healthy. Hers is the exception. We can't make the exception a normal
But that's
thing.
what I'm saying is, if she's just expressing herself, think of her in a therapy session. Think of her sitting here in a therapy session.
It's not expressing yourself when you say you need to do this.
No, I'm saying in a therapy session, if she came in and sat down, she could say, you know what? I'm really frustrated with people who say, you look great because you lost weight, right? So she would say it to me and I'd say, tell me more about that. Because it's not fair. They could be suffering from an eating disorder, etc. And I would say, well, that's quite possible. It's quite possible. But what are people's intentions when they make that compliment? Just like you said. Well, I don't know what their intentions are. Oh, well, then maybe we should be careful. Maybe you should be careful before we assume that those intentions are negative. My only point is she's having this internal dialogue externally.
But how many times does a person say that you look good have bad intentions? Really?
No. What she's saying is, she's not saying you have bad intentions. She's saying you don't know their story.
Why would you know their story?
Well,
You're just trying to give them a compliment.
Well, yeah, but imagine if they have an eating disorder.
But your intentions are good.
Absolutely.
By default.
No, absolutely. But she is saying, again, I don't agree with it, but what she's saying is, let's not do that. Just like let's not do the yogurt, because here's the deal with Demi. Let me tell you the deal with Demi. She's got body issues. She's had an eating disorder. She's got major body issues. Look at her weight's gone up and down and up and down. So she's got that going on. She's coming out of an addiction, and you've talked about all the time, as you come out of an addiction, you redefine yourself, or you try to figure out yourself. So she got that going on. She's got her sexual identity questions going on. She's got her gender identity. She is questioning freaking everything in her life, and what you're seeing is sort of a spew of that. It's a spew of that. You see stuff like that in therapy all the time.
Why can't we just go back to like the Oprah days, where how Oprah fluctuated with weight?
Right, everyone talked about her.
But everybody talked about it, but it wasn't it was just Oprah losing weight and gaining weight.
Yeah, but you know how Oprah felt? Oprah had made...
She just said, I love bread.
No.
Well, maybe you walk up to somebody and say, listen, it appears you've lost a ton of weight, and I was going to tell you that you look very attractive.
But if you have a eating disorder, then don't take that to heart.
Because then you could take it, well, did I not look attractive when I was fat? I'm like, can we not just check it back a little bit? And so I'm trying to pay you a compliment. Right. And to your point, and I think you take it, you're the green popsicle guy. Oh, great. Well, now we can't make fun of green popsicles. No, we're not saying that. What I'm saying now is we're trying to, now that we're getting back out, we're trying to converse and we're trying to rediscover our social abilities and everything else. And so we're trying to be nice. And now we have someone like this saying, well, I don't appreciate that, because she said she was up for 3 hours last night because she couldn't figure out, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by that? What do they mean by that?
Listen, this is where the compassion comes in.
Maybe it's because my point is, hold on.
Okay.
Maybe it's because she's sharing too much, because to her point, she said, well, they must have known that I was really overweight and I have got an eating disorder, and maybe they're making fun of me. Hold on a second. You're the one that told us about that, all right? You're blurting out everything. And now whenever my son says it's sunny today, maybe I wrote a paper on rain. I like rain more than sunny. Maybe they're being derogatory.
All that should be happening. Listen, everything you heard should be happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
This is she's young. Didn't we say this? She's like 20 something still, 27. God love her. She is still, she's a hot mess, and she's still trying to figure herself out. She major addiction, major eating disorder, all those problems. Those are things that, and I've seen this, not on a celebrity status. You see this, people who go into therapy or have come through some sort of psychological challenge, and they feel like they've changed, and they take to social media. I'm a changed person. This is my cause, and I get that. but it's super dangerous. Do not tell everybody not only that how much you've changed, but how now you see the world, because you don't know exactly how you see the world. You only know it in that minute. And
it's going to change again.
Right. And if you're
when
Demi
she
Lovato,
when she relapses,
yes.
God willing, she does it
Yes.
like she just did, and she relapses in a year, she's going to use that as, here I am, folks, and this is how things go, and this is part of the process, and blah, 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 blah.
I think they get lost. Listen, I think
there's a responsibility a little bit there, because there's a lot of Demi Lovato fans, particularly young fans, who follow her, that think what she's doing is okay, and I don't think it's okay.
Do you think a lot of people like that just don't have any self-love for themselves?
Yeah, you name if you name the named problems that she has, from she had major anxiety disorder, depression, substance addiction, substance use, and eating disorder.
Right.
Like that's just the fact that she could function on tour was crazy. But listen, last night I watched a documentary. It was an Oprah documentary. The Faces We Can't See, or something about mental health stuff. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when Lady? Sorry. Do you remember the Lady Gaga? Do you remember the Lady Gaga documentary?
No, I do not. No.
The first Lady Gaga documentary, they followed her because she had fibromyalgia, and they were following her through all of her chronic pain problems. And I remember thinking, how does this woman? They're doing injections. Yep. Her hips are killing her. All these sorts of things, and I'm thinking, how does she function? Well, she comes out last night and she does another interview. She was raped. She was held in a studio for a month, and her chronic pain problems, which we've seen, were a direct function of the sexual abuse that she had. She also talked about debilitating anxiety, depression, and this is why Oprah said, well, what did you do during all of this? She's like, I won an Oscar.
Yeah.
So, like, it's this whole idea. People can pull themselves together for any one moment, and that's the thing I think is bad about celebrities is they're in this position where they say things, and then they're told they have a platform, and they're trying to say things, and like you said, you step in your own doo-doo, and
part of me likes the idea that they can share these experiences, because we all have different experiences,
right.
and I'm thinking, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. I get that. The other part is the fan standpoint, where I'm like, you're Lady Gaga, you're a trillionaire, you look like your life is you got it together, and this, I think that's one of the whole Harry and Meghan Markle thing. Now Harry's sitting there saying that the prince, I don't know, gave him all kinds of crap.
He's talking. I mean, he had PTSD.
People, yeah.
That dude had PTSD.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying,
but they're not normal people. They're not normal people. Meghan Markle's not normal.
Yes.
Harry's not normal. Demi Lovato's not normal. And so we look at that and we don't.
Well,
there's not a strong accountability or compassion there for people like that.
But why are they not? Are they not normal, or are they? Because you can go either way. Are they not normal, or are they normal people in extraordinary?
You know what it is? It's almost like they've been sheltered for so long because of the situation they're in, that all of a sudden now they're learning real life, and we're supposed to go,
They don't. There's on such a high pedestal and such a different world. They just don't get us. They don't. They've been like Tony said. They've been sheltered for so long. They don't know what real life is about.
Well, but I wouldn't say just sheltered. I mean, imagine this. It's the Truman Show. It's the Jim Carrey Truman Show. Yep. Imagine if every move that you made, everything that you did, was not even scrutinized, just public, right?
Britney Spears.
Yes, I mean I think that's the part that we don't get is a lot of times we don't want our friends to know that we have that we're addicted to alcohol. We don't want our friends to know that we're that we're suffering from anxiety disorder. Can you imagine? Can you imagine people just watching everything that you do? It's enough to screw you up.
I just don't know why these people feel the need to be so transparent about everything in their lives. And maybe it's because we just went through the COVID thing. Maybe they feel like it's therapeutic. I don't know what it is. It's just when an old rock and roller comes out and starts sharing stories, I get it, because they've lived their life, and it's like, okay, I get that. If Mick, Taylor came out, or Keith Richards, or whoever came out and said, "Listen, I've gone through these things earlier in my life," but even they didn't want to do it. Even they don't talk about it. And I'm not a taboo guy. I mean, I get it, But for these young people to keep talking about all the tragedies they've had in their life, I'm kind of like, we all have tragedies, and we're all going through a tough time right now. And it's like,
I think it's important that, like, just like Lady Gaga with the being raped and being held, and right, that's the person that did that should be jailed, castrated, and
and she said the whole Me Too thing in the interview. I thought it was interesting. She said, I will never mention this guy's name because it's too traumatizing for me.
She was really young too, right?
Yes, she had just 19.
Yeah. But it's important to know that we all know it's not her fault that happened to her, right? But it is her responsibility to rise above that and become a person of value. And
but you see, I think that's, don't you think? But if we look, so then I don't know if it's a responsibility, then isn't it okay for her to tell her story? Well, think about an addiction.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone can tell their story. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm just saying that not a lot of people want to hear it.
I don't know.
You're a psychologist. You look at things differently too. You do.
I think a lot of people
you look at
do
people
want
in
to hear
airports.
it. I think people do want to hear it, particularly.
Well, my point is, why are they telling us?
Well,
why?
So they'll say a couple things.
Are they wanting to change the way we look at things? Are they? It seems so self-fulfilling for them to be able to let us know all these things that they've gone through, I think and I'm kind of like, okay, what am I learning here?
I think it's both. I think, again, this is the extraordinary world that they live in. I think on the one hand, it is I want to tell my story to somebody. I think the other is, unlike us, they know that their story will reach millions of people. Again, if I went this, maybe we'll reach, we do reach millions. We reach millions around the world. So if I told my story, people would hear. I think that's it. It's the whole, you have a platform. So you have people saying, you got a platform. You need to do something with it. And so she's telling her story. But you're also, when you're 28, 29 years old, unless you got a great, I'm going to go back to the same thing. Here I go again. Taylor Swift. She's got the tightest inner circle. Everything that gets out there, it's not just that it's calculated. It's calculated. It's thought about. We haven't, and the closest thing we ever have with Taylor Swift, she alluded to in her documentary that she has an eating disorder.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Me and Tony found out something about Taylor Swift the other day. But
yeah, we did. Yeah, we're going to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
We can't.
Did she go down?
We can't share.
No.
No, we can't share on the show, though.
I mean, it's juicy.
We'll tell you after the show.
Mm-hmm.
No, really?
How she bought her way in, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She bought her way in?
She bought her way in.
Mm-hmm. Well, somebody bought her into the industry.
She would never be Taylor Swift without
certain people.
Her mom?
Yeah. Yes.
Oprah?
Yeah, Oprah.
Speaking of buying your way in, I saw this really interesting story. This website gets more views than YouTube, Amazon, and Google combined. You know what it is?
Are we on it?
No. It's not KCast Radio either.
No, I don't know.
Pornhub.
Oh,
yeah. It seemed roughly like 47 billion views last year, something like that. Well, the guy who owns Pornhub owns MindGeek, which is another adult type of place. They own Red Television and a bunch of porn sites, right?
MindGeek?
MindGeek is
that a porn hut?
It's the umbrella over Pornhub and all these other things, right?
That's a great name.
And the guy's name's Bernd, I forget his last name. Bernd, Burned, something like that. Anyway, he's an Australian guy. If you try to pull his name up on the internet, there's no pictures. I tried to find out because he's got a wife and she's a model. And I'm trying to find out who this guy is. There's no information on the internet about this guy. We don't know where he lives. We roughly know he's in his 40s. There's only like one picture. Seriously, I'll give you his name. If you go on the internet, you cannot find.
What's his name? Burned? I don't think you pronounce it burned.
He's the CEO of Pornhub?
Yeah. It's a Bermair, Bermair. His wife's name's Priscilla. And if you go on, you could. There's no pictures of this guy. He doesn't exist, right? So evidently, his wife Priscilla, who's a model, they have 3 children together. Over the weekend, she came out and there was this big thing about Pornhub about child sex trafficking because you can upload videos to Pornhub, and evidently there's this mass child trafficking thing, and they found some videos on Pornhub that were not scrutinized enough to get through, and so they're being investigated, and so they pulled all these sites off. They're like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. That's not what Pornhub's all about. It's all 18 and up. It's blah 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 blah. And so they save themselves like this is not, and they put a disclaimer on their site. Not that I saw it, but I heard about it.
You did your research.
And so she came out over the weekend, and she said, and she went to the public with it, to news organizations. She said, I'm asking my husband to quit. Because we have children, and our children shouldn't be subjected to this, and their father should not be doing this, because what would their kids say? It's kind of like,
how old her kid? Do they say how old?
No.
Okay.
No, they got to be relative. They got to be relatively young, because she looks pretty young.
Yeah, but I get the.
And he's 42 to 40.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're old enough to get on the internet.
Of course, we're not hearing anything from him, because he doesn't say anything or do anything. It's amazing. It's like, I don't even know who this guy is. There's one picture of him smoking a cigarette, and he looks kind of like, you can't find any information. There's not even a Wikipedia page on this guy. But he's probably, and he made like $1.4 billion last year, but we can't even find out who this dude is, right? And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, I was trying to think of friends of mine that have jobs that perhaps they wouldn't be particularly proud of to share with their family. There is one affluent school in this area that it costs a lot of money to go to, and there was a father there that had his kids going to the school, and of course the question is, gee, what do you do for a living?
Right.
Because obviously you got to be making some big time bucks in order to get your kid to go to school. And he's like, well, it came from my father's money. I inherited a lot of my father's money. I said, what'd your dad do? And he goes, he got in on the porn explosion in the 70s. And made a lot of money, sold out, and then he died, and then I got the money. And so I said, so basically your kids are coming here on porn money. And he kind of laughed. He said, well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't my money. It's not blood money, but it was money that he made in this industry. He did really well with it. He died off. I got the money, and so now I'm living comfortable thanks to my dad.
So what else is there?
And so I'm trying to think to myself, okay, is that okay? Because if your kids ever go, Dad, we got it all. What does your daddy do? What does your dad do for a living? Or what is your dad,
Right.
Because we all want to know, my dad's a fireman, or my dad's a policeman, or
But I was just thinking, so what else, other than like, what other legal, right? Because it'd be, if there's illegal, my dad's a drug dealer. That doesn't work. But what other legal job where you could be well off? Well, you get into some interesting other jobs are not well off, but well off.
Gambling.
What, like you?
My dad's a pit boss. My dad works at I'm trying to think of,
well,
or my dad owns a dispensary. Yeah. I'm trying to think of things that are, either be weed, gambling, or porn. It'd be those three things. I can't think of anything else.
There's nothing else.
And there's a lot of
like a hedge fund guy that like moves money around.
That could be something.
Yeah, but hedge fund is, that's what I'm saying. If it's legal.
Well, right.
Right.
Or a landlord doesn't particularly get.
Well, see, now we're getting into, right. Landlord's okay. Now, if he's a slumlord.
Yeah.
Right? That again, I was going the other way. Think about jobs that I'm going to use your dad.
Yeah.
But your dad delivered newspapers. Mm-hmm. The way you've described it a million times, it makes me cry. I mean, his pride, the way he folded, all that kind of stuff. But I was thinking about kids who've got parents who they're embarrassed about what their parents do. Mm-hmm. A garbage collector, janitor.
And I bring this up because I was at the club at Lakeview on Saturday.
Radio host.
Well, and I walked in this place, and there were about, and I'm not tooting my own horn, there must have been 20 people that came up to me that hadn't either never met me or hadn't seen me in 15 years. And they're like, oh my God, Tony Curry's here.
Oh no.
And I was like, and my son Santo was like, dude, you need to get out more. And I'm like, he did. He's like, do you miss doing those remotes? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he goes, you need to get out more. He said, because everyone, he goes, I don't know anyone that does not know who you are. And I said, isn't that great? And he goes, Dad, it's freaky.
Did he just realize this now? I mean,
He's like,
You're
I can't.
oldest.
He's like, because he doesn't really talk about me because he's at that age where I can embarrass him. And he's like,
jazz hands.
He looked at me a couple times like I was a celebrity.
He kind
of looked at me a couple times. He's like, dude, this is freaky. And my son is very private. He doesn't want me to post anything about him. And people know him because he can pick basketball games. And I used to put him on jocks and stuff. But he's like, this is he goes, there's not a person here that doesn't know something about you, and it's freaking me out. And of course, everyone knew who my 3 kids were, and I was introducing them, and they had a wonderful time. It was super cool.
But see how it's interesting to see how it made him, your celebrity made him uncomfortable because people were infringing, if you will. I mean, he thought it was cool, but it is uncomfortable. People coming up to your parents.
And if your mother or father has a legitimate job that is legal, but you're not particularly proud of it,
right?
But it gives you a hell of a nice lifestyle, or even if it doesn't, maybe you're a garbage man, which is something that seems like is a generational thing. Garbage men, their sons become garbage men. I don't know what it is, but or police officers or whatever. And for the wife to call him out, you're a billionaire, you're well off, you need to separate yourself from this because your children are going to find out. Let's say a movie star.
Yeah.
Let's say a movie star who's done a lot of nude scenes.
We talk about that all the time. You go, the kids grow up and they're like, oh my God, that's my mom.
Yeah, making love to a strange man on film. And it's kind of like, whoa. Or parents that won't let their kids see their movies until they get older.
Yeah, but now you can't control that. That's the difference. Now, here's the one thing I think is interesting. Maybe it's because you can't find him anywhere. But he goes back to what we talked about Demi Lovato. Why should she call him out publicly? There's no need, right?
Maybe it's because she can't find him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the guy who did the public apology.
Yeah.
See, this is what you and I were talking about before. Our brains have not evolved enough to handle social media. We can't. Now we use the good parts of it, but we're like little petulant children who cannot handle this toy that was given to us. We do not know how to manage it in a way that doesn't mess us up.
Well, it gives people that don't need a voice.
I've said it all the time. It's the instant free pass to no filter.
Right.
It's there. It's there.
Yep.
The one to me that is the most curious. Forget all the slamming and the bashing and this. And I was all over social media. This is my child. I'm so proud of him. But here's the one I can't understand. It's food.
What do you mean?
People who talk about the meal that they made.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one to be of all the things that I can sort of figure out. Why are you putting pictures of your casserole up there?
Don't you think that this job thing's a generational thing, though?
Which one?
We were always asked when we were 3, 4, 5 years old, what's your daddy do? Or my daddy can beat your daddy up. I get that.
Yes.
Our dads worked, whatever they did. My dad was a newspaper distributor. Some people worked at plants, steel mills, whatever. And it was what it was, and we didn't really care. My dad would come home with a side of beef once a month. And I knew we couldn't afford it, but I didn't ask any questions. I was just happy to get a side of beef because I trusted my dad and I loved my dad. And so if he got a side of beef, I was like, that's great. I knew we were going to be eating good, right? So we never questioned that.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to the point where everything is so transparent where, there's questions my son asked me that I would have never thought to ask my dad.
Yeah.
And maybe I opened that door for him because I try to
teach
him about life because it's a different type of thing. And I do think sometimes I share too much with him. He's 16. He's becoming a young man, and I've always said, listen, there's nothing your dad hasn't done or seen or whatever. So if you have any questions to me about those kind of things, my dad would have never said that to me.
Of course
I
not.
figured out, and so maybe it's a situation where, say, your dad's a mob boss, or what's your dad do? I don't know. He's always around the house. Well, you live in a $400,000 house. I don't know what he does. But you never ask those questions, right?
Sorry.
And so
and there's
all of a
always
sudden,
people that come to the door with suitcases, little briefcases. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, but as long as you're doing a legitimate job, in this particular case, he owns a legitimate business.
Yeah, but
that is
yes,
and it's moralistically, it may not be looked upon as one of the best jobs, but he's a billionaire.
Yes.
His kids will be taken care of. For his model wife, who is also posed a couple of different ways sexually, and she's
but okay, let's use him. Let's use Brandon. I think Brandon is an interesting case. Brandon teaches ballroom dancing.
Yeah,
he's an accomplished dancer. And he teaches ballroom dancing. No shame in that game. Yeah. But if you're a kid and your dad is a ballroom dancer, or Josiah, our friend, the priest, his dad was a clown in the circus, literally a clown in the circus. I mean, those are ones where you kind of, as a kid, everyone's going around. My mom's a teacher. My dad's a teacher. My dad works at this dealership. What does your dad do? Because it's all about conformity.
Yep.
I think that's it. It's conformity and status as we're kids. We either want to be right in the pack or the best of the pack, but not outside the pack.
I broke off from the pack. So my great-grandfather, grandfather, and my dad all worked at U.S. Pipe.
Really? And then you became a board dancer.
Yeah, well, yeah. I saw what they came home like, and I refused to do it. My dad worked on a jackhammer for 15 years.
And was your dad happy that you went off and did your own thing?
Yes. Now, my dad has an interesting story. My dad was a professional disco dancer back in the 70s. Now, he got married and had a family, and then had to get a real job because obviously that's why I'm a dancer. I'm a dancer because he was a dancer.
That's awesome.
He worked at U.S. Steel Pipe.
U.S. Pipe.
U.S. Pipe, and was a disco dancer.
No, that was after. That was in the 70s. But so he got married. I was born in 79. So all throughout the 80s and 90s, he worked at U.S. Pipe.
I just wonder how many fathers out there right now feel the stress of finding a job or trying to do a job that they believe their children should be proud of.
Oh, I think every parent. No. I don't think it's just fathers. I think I think every parent.
You got to do what you got to do, right?
No. I mean, but I think yes. I think. Listen, we all, even the ones, like our generation, our fathers are like, you don't question it. I just do that. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Every parent.
Well, it's not that when we question, we just knew not to question.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
But we didn't want to question
it. But every parent wants their child to be proud of them. Absolutely. Every parent wants their child to be proud of them. And what happens is think about it, this is the whole parent sports thing, right? The kid who's out there playing sports can't stand it, but he wants their parent to be proud, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that parents, I think you do think about your job. I'll give you example. I'm a psychologist. My wife's a psychologist, right? My wife is more traditional. She saw patients for therapy. That's what she did.
Yeah.
I did was bebopping all over the place. I was at faculty UAB, and I'm talking to Tony Curry, and so my kids all the time would say, "My mom's a psychologist. She helps people. We don't know what our dad does. He's a psychologist. We have no idea what he does." And then that was all they would say. I would feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like, even though, I'm accomplished, I'm making money, I'm going to be like, because I didn't have a thing, they would always talk about their mom because they knew what their mom did.
Yeah. I get that.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Did your kids talk about you as being see, I've asked you this all the time. What did the kids think what did they call you? A radio host?
Yeah, a radio host or a radio guy. My dad works in radio. And again, everyone kind of knew that going in. The minute they meet them, they knew what I already did because I did it for so long. Now it's a little different. My dad owns a radio station. And they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But it's like.
Well, it's not. It's, yeah. Then to get into the app part.
Yeah. which kids know about. So I'm trying to figure out whether this dude, I can imagine this guy's probably not real happy that and she's a model, so I don't know if she's self-sufficient or not, but obviously she's got a very good life. And I'm wondering the fact that she's calling him out. I wonder.
There is no need. Think about it.
It's the whole thing. I'll give you $500,000 if you'll run drugs to Atlanta this afternoon. How many people would take him up on it? One time.
Depends on your financial status.
And then you're going to be asked the question. Okay, well, say you're in straits. It's $500,000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How many people would go one time? One time.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. All you got to do is drive the truck and come on back. Yeah.
But if you're hanging
how many people would know that, knowing that they've got blood in their hands because the money that they made was highly.
Well, because I think it's never one time. Because no one's going to really.
I think a lot of people are going through this now. I had a friend of mine who lived down the street, who moved to Colorado about 3 years ago to open his own dispensary.
Of course.
He's got 3 kids, and he was a business guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going. He's like, it's legal. And I'm like, well, what do you tell your kids? Now it's a lot different now 3 years later, but what do you tell your kids that you do?
Well, thinking prohibition and wine. You're a bourbon maker.
Or you're a bar owner.
Yeah.
What do you do? My dad.
Now that's a good one.